Hi folks, I'm Father Jeffrey Kors, and this is The Big Red Egg. The signs are all there every day. Declining birth rates, skyrocketing abortion rates, rising narcissism, false spiritual life, and the end of marriage and the family as they've existed for thousands of years. The culture war in North America is over. And in case you haven't noticed, the crazy people won. So where does this leave traditional Christians? There's lots going on about Christians trying to re-engage the culture and connect with the neighborhood and offer community services that demonstrate Christian love. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all good. The only mistake would be to believe that this sort of thing is going to make any lasting difference. Unless traditional Christians learn from the struggles of the persecuted historic church, unless they accept an inner struggle against their passions, and unless they stop trying to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to being liked by secular Western culture, well, they're done. They'll become like the world around us and have nothing distinct or eternal to offer anybody. Roman Catholics have essentially forgotten the experience of the historic church. Today, most Roman Catholics are hung up on sexual issues on one side or the other, and on the extent to which they should be allowed to disagree with the Pope. Some Roman Catholics, let's call them the conservative Catholics, will tell you just to stick with the Vatican and do the Latin Mass and everything will be hunky-dory. The only problem, of course, is that all this is an invention that's less than 500 years old, and which is now collapsing under the weight of a public, global sexual abuse scandal on the outside and widespread gay culture on the inside. And nobody likes a hypocrite. Protestants, on the other hand, are caught up in the latest trend of the week. A few years ago, it was the seeker-sensitive church. Today, it's the community-engaged church. In the immediate future, it looks like it's going to be the doctrine-free church, lest we turn anybody away. The truth is, none of this is going to last when traditional Christianity has completely lost its social status in the West. We're nearly there now. Small business owners are either required by law to forsake their faith, or they're subjected to radical public shaming by activists who are set on destroying their livelihood, their families, and their reputation. Open debate and freedom of thought in schools, universities, and legislatures has been replaced by ridicule of anyone who holds traditional Christian views. And pretty soon, it's inevitable that expressing such views as the protection of human life, or the innate nature of human gender, or the unchanging nature of marriage will be considered some kind of hate crime. So when they try to shut us down, not with laws, but with big fines and public embarrassment, how exactly is your seeker-sensitive Christianity going to help you then? If traditional Christians are going to survive all this, we're going to have to do a few things. First, we're going to have to become familiar with the lives of those holy people who have lived and died for Christ in the first 1,000 years of the church. If we want real examples of how persecuted people put the Bible into practice, well, that's what we're going to find in the lives of the saints. And we need to read them every day. Second, we're going to have to come face to face with our own inner secrets and sins and commit to pursuing a life of inner holiness. That starts with humility. And it's the only thing that will make us any different from the world around us. Third, we're going to have to commit ourselves to daily prayers. Prayers that shape us, not to shaping our prayers using our own frilly feelings and emotions. It's no coincidence that most non-Christians in North America find the Protestant picture of Christianity, well, weird. It's make it up as you go along production, where people read the Bible any way they like and say that God has told them to do it that way. Which brings me to number 4. To survive in the post-culture war world, we'll have to submit ourselves to the life and practice and understanding of the historic church across the centuries. The Orthodox Church has always recognized that the only reliable way to get some insight into what God's telling us is not through one preacher or one bishop or, God forbid, me and my Bible. It's through finding the common thread among the lives and words of holy people down through the centuries since Christ walked the earth. That's called holy tradition, the collected experience of holy people across 20 centuries. Without it, we're just playing games in some poorly supervised high school drama class. and calling it Christianity. Fifth, we will have to learn and master self-denial. Most of us cannot control our eating or our spending or our consuming of technology. As it becomes harder and harder to be a traditional Christian, we will either have to become masters of our senses through self-denial, such as tithing and fasting and generous giving to the poor, or our attachments to these things are going to control us. We will become slaves. And most of us who call ourselves Christians already are. So there's lots of work to do. Finally, any traditional Christian who wants to survive the implosion of Western Judeo-Christian culture will eventually be faced with the reality that they will have to join the historic Orthodox Church, which is full of foreign language speakers and people who grew up under dictatorships and lots of people who really don't know their faith, which is exactly the point. The historic Orthodox Church has not survived 2,000 years of persecution under pagan Rome and the Muslim Ottomans and the communist Bolsheviks because its people are all great Christians. It survived because the path of Orthodox Christianity leads sinful, broken, messed up people like you and I towards holiness today in the same way it's done since the time of Jesus Christ and his apostles. No Vatican, no dramatic sermons, no making it up as we go along. The faith of the martyrs, those who've been killed over the centuries because they won't deny their faith in Christ. And in the months to come, every Christian who wants their faith to survive is going to have to learn about it.